And I'm fucking livid that we are stuck in the timeline where Alex Jones is right.
Why aren't the Amish afraid of COVID? Because they don't have TVs.
You brought a freaking guillotine.
Oh no! Oh, okay, no.
What the fuck do you have on your face, Olivia? Being a victim of a tragedy doesn't make you an expert in policy.
Remember, they lost the Afghan war 10 years ago.
They were posting some crazy shit like months ago. Remember that?
Who said democracy is a system that reinforces authoritarian ideals?
I remember thinking, man, governments are not going to like this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shitposters, activists, anarchists, and everyone in between, thank you for joining tonight's episode of O'Donnell for Liberty. As always, I'm your host, Justin. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to keep up to date with future shows. And if you enjoy the show, you can be an early supporter of the program by following the Patreon link in the description and signing up to join our production team. If you want to keep in touch between shows, follow me on social media and join our community Discord channel by following the links in the description as well. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the path to anarchy and the cult of party politics. We're going to take questions, so make sure you hit that like button, leave some comments, and tell us what you think in the chat. And give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, YouTuber, purveyor of witty social commentary, and the only marketing pirate chain has ever attempted to do, Ashton Birdie. Ashton, thank you for joining tonight. How are you?
First of all, your introduction for me was quite ironic because I have not heard from Pirate Chain since Porkfest. And literally hired a completely different model for Freedom Fest. I have not heard from him since, but like, I wasn't aware I'm the official Pirate Chain girl now. Apparently, someone should really tell them. Because
I don't think Pirate Chain is a group of people that really go into things with the plan. The only thing I remember about their marketing from Porkfest was that they showed movies that I had no interest in watching, and all of their handouts were full of misspellings and grammatical mistakes, and told you why Zcash is better than Pirate Chain.
And then they had this blonde girl with her like tits pushed up, running around with children following her around. That was me. So
well, they did one thing right.
I basically convinced a bunch of children to like hand out Ross Ulbricht pins. And like the adults couldn't say no because it's like a small child handing you a free pin to free Ross Ulbricht. So it's like they're kind of like, okay. And the funny thing is I actually handed out pamphlets for Pirate Chain, and that's actually the most marketing thing I've ever gotten.
Yeah, it blew my mind. It was fun to have the idea of the movies at the bottom of the hill, and I think that's something a group of us are going to do next year. Just not the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
We do honestly, can we do something like V for Vendetta or something that's actually like? I guess pirates are pretty ANCAP, but like
we can watch the Killdozer documentary.
I've seen that so many times. I feel like everyone who goes to Porkfest has seen the Killdozer documentary though.
Or Citizen 4, or Snowden, or Silk Road.
We're not watching Silk Road.
Have you watched it?
Yes, Ross Ulbricht's mother hates that movie.
Okay.
It completely demonizes him. Have you not seen it?
So here's the thing. When Lynn sent out a bunch of messages to people before it came out, they're making a movie that's going to demonize Ross. And a whole bunch of us.
Him. What do you mean?
Bunch of us here in New Hampshire, we're like, well, we're going to pirate it and watch it and make our own opinions of things instead of giving them money to watch it. And we watched it, and I just remember looking at my friend Steve after we finished watching. I'm like, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
It was still not good. Like it's still
right.
lied.
But like it could have been so much worse.
Justin, do not give excuses to people who lie about people who've done nothing wrong. That's like if you were to say, well, to be fair, Julian, it's like, well, to be fair, they're lying about Julian Assange. They're not pardoning Julian Assange. But it could have been a lot worse for Julian Assange. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm just saying
the expectations were so high for how bad it was supposed to be that when we watch it, we're like, oh no. Like, I thought they actually portrayed Ross's values and morals and like his motivations impeccably. Mm-hmm. And I thought that part of it was incredible. And we were under the impression that they were just going to portray him as some kid who wanted to do a bunch of drugs and sell a bunch of drugs.
Yeah, but there's still people who think he's responsible for a murder, and there never was a murder.
And the movie covered that. The movie showed how he was framed for the murder.
Right. But it still doesn't change the fact it didn't exactly... It still display him as a criminal. Like, it doesn't...
All right, we can watch Snowden then. We can all agree that Snowden was a good movie.
I think we need to watch more films that people haven't really seen, or maybe I feel like people get so sick of like just documentary work. Like, I don't know.
It's the Liberty Movement. Everybody's made a documentary. They don't want to watch somebody else's.
Here's my point. So, like, you were obviously at Pork Fest. I mean, you were high the entire time on fungi, so you might not remember half of it. But the thing is, I distinctly remember having an issue. I remember asking Dave Smith about, because, I do stand-up comedy, and I mentioned podcasting, how we can influence more people to go out there. And Dave Smith specifically said, he's like, listen, we don't need more podcasters. This is getting ridiculous. We need more people who are creating art. Like Top Lobster does amazing artwork, for Josh. But we need more people who are actually making movies, writing books, who are making music. And that's the thing is maybe we actually should be doing. We should be inspiring more. We need to create our own Hollywoods. We need to create our own record labels because listen, we can't just sit here and complain about how art is degenerate and how the media is influenced by the government and how the elites are running everything. Why not just make our own art, or make our own Hollywood, make our own movies and music? I know it's easier said than done. But then again, Kevin Smith made his first movie literally at the quick stop that he worked at on his break and did not tell his boss. It had a $2,000 budget. So I think we can do it. I think
not just a $2,000 budget. It was a $2,000 budget to buy a camera, and he stole a credit card to put the camera on.
And they were high and drunk when they did the entire movie. And it's still basically like got him a cult following.
It's one of the greatest screenplays ever written. I mean, where else can you have Without Clerks, we would not have one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Dogma. And we would not see the great George Carlin as a priest. The entire universe is just great, but like Clerks.
What about Bro Jesus? Where would Bro Jesus be without Clerks?
Buddy Jesus.
Buddy Jesus. I always want to say Bro Jesus, but
it's Buddy Christ, George Carlin called
Buddy Christ.
But I always go back to Clerks as actually an incredibly libertarian film because of the dialogue and the debates they have in there. And every time I get in arguments with people on Twitter.
The majority of Kevin Smith's movies are fairly libertarian, but then Kevin Smith always just comes out like him. It's like J.K. Rowling. This guy I met at Pork Fest is like obsessed with this narrative. Harry Potter is the epitome of an ANCAP dystopia because like all the kids who are attending like Hogwarts, they're all armed with a wand. Like they're required to have a wand when they go to school. They're essentially building armies within the school. And also another thing too, if you really want to think about it, if you were a Harry Potter fan, you never want to say, "Oh, I'm a Muggle." Every Harry Potter fan is like, "Well, I want to be a Slytherin. I want to be a Gryffindor. I want to be a Ravenclaw," because they all want to be a wizard. Nobody wants to be a Muggle because even Muggles aren't allowed in that wizarding world.
It's way worse than that. Even non-Harry Potter fans in the Liberty Movement use the term Muggle to describe people who aren't libertarian. Like here in New Hampshire, where we have an actual libertarian community and an actual like Liberty diaspora of people who've moved from all over the world, not just all over the country. We have people from Russia and Ukraine and Poland and Great Britain and Canada who have moved into our community in Manchester and surrounding for libertarianism. Everyone refers to the normals as Muggles. And I would willing to bet you'd hear somebody use the term Muggle to describe a non-libertarian. And if you go and ask them what their favorite Harry Potter book, some of the foreigners wouldn't know what Harry Potter is. Mm-hmm. But they still know the word Muggle. So, I mean, but to Dave's point, we don't need more podcasters.
We do not need more podcasters. I mean, here's the thing is I sort of like promoted my channel. My channel is basically irrelevant at this point. I had a huge MAGA crowd and they got pissed at me for burning a Trump hat. Here's the thing. If you're a MAGA person who's come to this, stream because you saw it on my channel or whatever, my Twitter, my YouTube community, here's the thing. QAnon's not going to save you. There's no one in the government who's going to ride in on a white horse and be like, "Oh, I'm here to save the day. I'm here to change everything." It's not going to happen. And the thing is, I had to realize that I had to, get smacked down a little bit by the multiple missiles into Syria and not pardoning Assange and not pardoning Snowden and not pardoning Ross Ulbricht. That really hit me hard. And I just remember waking up. I think I was at Tim Pool's house when I realized that Trump had failed to pardon Assange, and I was just kind of sitting there like, did I really just ruin my entire life? Like, I didn't talk to my family for 2 years because of my support for Trump. I was demonized. My entire life was essentially ruined for this guy who I just remember sitting there for years thinking, He's going to do it. He's going to pardon Assange. He's going to pardon him. He's going to pardon Ulbricht. And I just remember just thinking to myself, and I honestly kind of jumped off the Trump train a couple of years ago and wasn't as blatant as I am now, me burning a Trump hat now. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, he's not going to do it. He's pretending he doesn't know who Assange is. He's basically kissing Charlie Kirk's butt, Jared Kushner's butt. Like, he's surrounding himself with these people who are the epitome of GOP shills. So it was sort of came to me as a realization, but I didn't say anything in hopes that, well, maybe he'll pardon Assange, and he didn't. And now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I'm never voting again. I'm never associating myself with a party or a politician again. And look, here's the thing. I love the Mises Caucus. I love the idea of Dave Smith running for president. But the moment Dave actually runs, the moment Mises Caucus is up, I mean, listen, I can't support any party or politician. I can't support anyone running because I don't believe in any governments. I don't believe in governance or anyone telling me what to do or claiming.
So you don't believe in government. You can't support a politician, but you just moved to Florida because of the political climate.
That is true. But here's the thing. Here's my point of that. Everyone's like, why not New Hampshire, Ashton? You said you're going to move to New Hampshire, which don't get me wrong. That's on the table. I love New Hampshire. I love the Free State Project. Here's the thing. New Hampshire's on its way to seceding sooner. Whereas Florida, I think it's on its way to, push the idea of secession. And I kind of want to be there to sort of push the narrative further. I really want to see Florida become fully free. I want to see Florida be the pirate state. I really do. So I would like to be part of that. I would like to help associate with that. I'm already getting involved with the Mises Caucus in Florida over there. I'm getting involved with the Libertarian Party of Broward County. Even though I'm not a fan of the Libertarian Party either, I really want to be able to help Florida be on its own. I mean, Florida's developing its own cryptocurrency. Like, it's ready. It's ready. You got.
Don't you really? I mean, isn't that the antithesis of cryptocurrency, though? I mean, Satoshi Nakamoto was an avowed anarchist. If you look at what he wrote on the boards and the forums when they were developing Bitcoin,
the thing is, everyone knows that Satoshi was the advocate for anarchy. But the thing is, which is why so many anarcho-communists, I hate that term because it makes absolutely no sense. They hate Bitcoin. They hate Bitcoin despite the fact that Bitcoin, well, here's the thing. I have my issues and qualms with Bitcoin too, because I feel like I'm watching the government and a lot of corporations start to dip their toes in it. And I'm like, oh, that's sketchy. The thing about cryptocurrency overall, if anything is going to quote unquote end the Fed and tear down the big banks, it's going to be involvement in crypto. I have my own crypto portfolio. I'm not going to say how much because I don't think it has anything with business. But I have my own crypto portfolios. My crypto portfolio is very diverse for a reason. And I must be a straight here. Get involved with crypto because it's going to save your life eventually. So,
now, what's your favorite crypto? Is it Pirate Chain or is it something else?
Pirate Chain for some reason wouldn't even sell me Pirate Chain, so I can't fully say that. But I do have quite a bit of Bitcoin. I had.
Wait, they wouldn't sell you Pirate Chain?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I was at PorkFest. I'm like, hey, like, how do I buy it? They weren't fully explained to me how to buy a Pirate Chain. It was weird. It was very strange.
I feel like the whole point of what's the point of marketing and going to sponsor the event if you can't tell people how to get with your product?
Yeah, that I had an issue with that.
All right. So I mean, what else did you take away from PorkFest? I mean, like, if you love the Free State Project, you love New Hampshire. I mean, what's your experience other than just PorkFest?
It was definitely my favorite. It was my first time at PorkFest. It was my favorite event. And here things, I was actually invited to PorkFest several times prior to this year. I just had never gone because I had multiple events. I was living in England and DC back and forth. I had multiple things going on in my life, but it's my first PorkFest. And it was wonderful. I love the people that are associated with it. I definitely love the people associated with the Free State Project. But the reason I love the Free State Project so much is I don't want it to be just New Hampshire. I want it to be as far as possible. I would love to see it worldwide.
Well, that's the opposite of what the Free State Project says. Jeremy Kaufman, board member of the Free State Project, and from the Free State Project Twitter, all the time, their mentality is that there aren't enough libertarians to really free the world, so we need to all get in one place and free ourselves.
I'm going to have to, here's the thing. Yeah, maybe we can't quote unquote free the entire. That's funny. It's so funny because I actually I made a character in my book series based off Jeremy Kaufman for this very reason. I love him. I love him so much, and and that's my one thing about that is that until we free the entire world, we're not really. And I'm not saying New World Order. I'm not saying one world order. What I'm saying is until everyone sort of awakens their own ability to have liberty, no one actually is free because you sort of still risk yourself at falling into place of tyranny. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if you're surrounded by tyranny, even if you're in one state of pure freedom, you're still surrounded by tyranny. You still put that yourself at risk. So I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with that, man. Here's the thing. But here's the thing. I think Florida actually is on its way to building its own free state project. I think it's on its way. I think we need to start pushing for that.
I mean, what's to stop it from getting co-opted with just like Florida alt-right? I mean, the DeSantis crowd. A lot of people are libertarians are buying the line that DeSantis is free.
Someone could even say that. I don't think libertarians are buying it too much, especially with DeSantis. Here's the thing. I will disagree with the whole idea. I do not think they should put mandates saying that businesses can't require masks. I think businesses should, if they want to, require masks if they want to. Yep. Here is my critique. The problem isn't so much individual businesses requiring masks. The problem is the government making it so small businesses who don't want to enforce masks impossible for them to. That's my problem. If a business wants to freaking paint itself bright neon green and dress their entire staff in chicken costumes, who am I to say anything? Okay. But the fact that our own government is enforcing other businesses who don't want to partake in these masks, it's impossible for them. They're getting slapped down like no other.
Well, here in New Hampshire, we have no mandates either way. Mm-hmm. Well, the Florida government is mandating the businesses can't do anything and violating businesses' property rights.
No, that's not true, because I was in Florida recently. You still had to wear a mask when you went into Target. You still had to wear a mask when you went into Subway. Like, there were still like companies, there were still employees who were like, hey, you have to wear a mask in here. I was like, oh, which I don't want to. If I really hate wearing a mask that much, I can always just go to another sandwich shop, right? That's what I ended up, right? Unfortunately, I'm from California. We don't see that here, where it's being enforced at this point. And OSHA is definitely going federal wide, where like OSHA is pushing on employees all over the country. It's pretty horrible. So
I joked with Jose the other day and some other people, like, as an agorist, I, for one, love that the government is cracking down on big businesses and telling people it's a much better idea to work for a small business than a big business.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, small businesses are not given that luxury. Small businesses. And the thing is, I always talk with people. I just did a video on this with AOC's Tax the Rich dress. It's easier to say wear a dress that simply says tax the rich and not talk about how the majority of the wealth in this country come from war crimes, big banks, corporate lobbyists who pay off government officials like AOC. And a lot of the times is that whenever there's mandates or something, or taxes on something, or something tied to the government, a lot of like these big corporations are given so many loopholes. And then who has to face it, since all the corporations aren't taking part in what they're supposed to? The small businesses, which why I'm all for not taxing anyone. I do not stand by universal healthcare. I did dip my toes in the idea of it. Like, well, maybe if like we had like a town doctor or something, like the Wild West or something, which really is kind of the only way we can really do it is if we're the Wild West. And even then you'd have to like sort of put forward your services for that doctor or your goods to that doctor or whatever. I'm all for bartering, That's like the one thing I think Shoe on Head and I really would not agree on is universal healthcare. She gave me so much flack for it 3 years ago, back when I was working with InfoWars. I mean, to be fair, I give myself flack for the whole rats in Venezuela thing. Don't get me wrong. But I still don't stand by universal healthcare. In fact, what's going on with the vaccine mandates is exactly why I don't stand by universal healthcare. Not so much that I don't want people to be healthy, but because I recognize that the government will do whatever it can to push vaccines and medications and medicines on people, even though it might not actually work with that person's body. Because again, we all have individual bodies. We're all unique in some way. And, one person's body is not going to react well to another, to a medicine that someone else's body might react well to. Which is, again, why I'm against universal healthcare, because
I upset Shu a little bit when I was talking to her a few weeks ago, because again, she brought up the universal healthcare thing, and I stopped her in her tracks. I'm like, listen, I actually work in the healthcare system. I'm a licensed insurance agent, and I do risk management and risk consulting for insurance companies. And I can tell you that the problem is that the insurance companies are going broke, and the insurance companies cannot make money at all because of all the overhead and the taxes and the compliance and all the legalities forced on them. And so, sure, universal healthcare, as you pitch it, would be cheaper than this fascist system that we have now, but it wouldn't lead to better health outcomes, and it wouldn't be nearly as good as what we had before the 1970s.
But also, my problem is you're basically paying taxes to be controlled and be told what to do with your health, right? So here's the thing. If under a universal healthcare plan, if I were to go to a doctor with a cough, and the doctor says, oh, you got a cough, I'm like, okay, well, I can just drink some tea and honey. And the doctor would be like, no, you need to take this cough syrup right now. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that. I'm not sure if my body reacts. No, I'm a doctor. I know your body better than you do. Take this cough syrup, right? That's my issue, where I'm like, and that's what's happening right now with the mandates and vaccinations, where it's like, where doctors and the government are like, we know your body better than you do. You need to take this vaccination right now. And the FDA, who has a long line of, recommending drugs and approving of drugs that later down the line get horrible reactions and end up killing people, it's like, I'm not going to trust the FDA. I don't care, what they say. So it's a matter of, I do not trust authority. I never have trusted authority. And I guess looking back at it, yeah, rats in Venezuela is a really bad argument for that whole debate. Honestly, what I just said is I hate authority.
To your point about like the drugs and the side effects and the long-term issues with the overprescription of these medications that aren't discovered till years down the road, I think half the time that they just list these potential side effects as a cover their ass, even though they're not potential side effects, because I haven't seen a drug marketed in the past 20 years that didn't have potential death.
Well, it's like, I don't want to go into like a freaking Walgreens and pick up a thing of cough syrup and be like, side effects include drowsiness and headache and possible rashes. And it's like, great, now I got to go back into the CVS or Walgreens or whatever, and get even more drugs to cover that drowsiness and headache and the rash. Next thing you know, I'm getting side effects from those things. I'm sneezing and bloating and all these different crazy things because I started off with a cough. But I could have just, I don't know, taken edibles or something, taken some fungi, something for it, some tea, some simple green tea could have fixed the problem. But no, I had to go take some cough syrup and decide to destroy my entire body with. So
yeah, I don't think marijuana is going to fix your cough.
I don't smoke, so I wouldn't know. I've never done edibles. I wouldn't know. I don't know heck about hoot.
I've had edibles twice in my life. Of all the things I did, and at any time we interacted...
I have tried fungi once. Actually, the only time I ever tried fungi was at Pork Fest this year. And I just don't understand. I don't understand why marijuana and fungi or shrooms, whatever state you're in. I don't know why. I'm trying really hard not to get demonetized. I don't know why they're illegal. I don't know why. Like, I can understand, like, and honestly, I don't think any drug should be illegal. But if the things that shouldn't, like, the things that don't make sense to me that are illegal are shrooms and marijuana because they grow on the ground. And like they have research behind them that prove like medicinal purposes. So the fact that like they're illegal doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't think any drug should be illegal. The war on drugs. Sorry.
I'll cut your fear here. Nothing you say is going to be what gets me demonetized. I did an episode of Tower Power with Jose, Toad, and them where I dropped acid on the show. So, and that's still not demonetized. But no, anytime we interacted at PorkFest, I was definitely in a different planet, and I don't remember.
I love how you're a candidate for office.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah, I just dropped acid on live stream. No big deal.
Hey, the best speech I ever gave when I was running for office was on acid.
You know what? And Trump was on acid the entire time too, and that's why his speeches were so great when he won it.
I made one promise to somebody that said, if the off chance that I did get elected to Congress, I would never speak on the House floor without being on acid.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about the fact that, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Trump anymore. I, like, it's not even just Trump. It's any politician. Like, I don't even think Ron Paul or Rand Paul should be in office. I don't believe in government. And I love Ron Paul. I love Ron Paul to a very unhealthy level, but even I don't believe in government. So I can't believe in him running for office. I can't support Dave running for office because I'm
here's the thing with Ron Paul is like you can love Ron Paul because he's consistent and he's 100% consistent and never contradicts himself.
You can love him, but you can also recognize that government, that the idea of someone speaking for me, just I don't like it. I don't like the idea of someone.
Well, look at what Ron Paul actually accomplished when he was in office. Nothing. Not a single bill he ever wrote made it out of committee. He never got a vote on any bill he ever wrote. He voted no on every single bill that ever made it to the House floor.
You can support someone as an ideologue,
Right.
but not a politician. Right. So I love Ron Paul too. I just don't support anyone in office. That's all I'm saying. But when it comes down to Trump, I no longer support Trump. You have to admit this. Like, if that was what's going on with Nicki Minaj and the whole testicle thing, right? So Donald Trump, we haven't had someone like Nicki Minaj going after the media since Donald Trump was in office. And I will say this right now. I no longer support Trump. I'm not the biggest fan of Trump anymore. But man, do I wish just him being honest and destroying people limb from limb, just going after the media the way he did. And the fact that every single one of his speeches, he winged it. Like, that's insane to me.
Right.
That dude out there, he's like, China. And like, he just got a crowd roaring for him. I mean, that man knew how to win a crowd. Like, you have to give him props for that. But again, I do miss Trump by the fact that he did go after the media quite a bit, because the media is one of the biggest enemies to the public.
No, the worst thing the media ever did was fucking get Trump banned from Twitter. Like,
Well,
Twitter was incredible until we lost Trump.
Well, the thing is that Twitter would have died without Trump, because Twitter was losing its audience, and then Trump ran for president and was saying all this crazy, wacky stuff. Here's the thing, is that YouTube is currently very much sanitized. I have 150,000 followers on my YouTube. I can barely get 5,000 views on a video now. Same thing with Lauren. Same thing with a lot of my other friends. Luke can barely get views on his show as well, like he used to. And maybe it's a fact that maybe like we used to do like on the ground stuff and like actually go to politicians and, you know, and confront the police and whatnot. But it's mostly because of the algorithm just completely just seeing our name and destroying us. And it's really sad, because when I grew up during my teen years, is that the thing was, the reason I got into what I got into is because I found Alex Jones through a World of Warcraft forum when I was 13 years old. And from there on out, I know people think it's hilarious, but what actually happened, I'm sorry. Alex Jones was my Morpheus via World of Warcraft. So I, in high school, I got really into Occupy Wall Street. I watched all of these different streams go down. And I remember seeing Tim Pool on the ground, Occupy Wall Street. And I'm really lucky to grow up in that generation, because I got to witness all of that on the internet. My parents were over here watching freaking Fox News and CNN and ABC, you know, and I got to witness actual on-the-ground footage that they weren't showing on the news. And that was the great thing about the internet, is that you could share ideas and things that were happening right in front of you, and people could witness it. It was the best thing that could have happened for independent journalists. And now it's so sanitized, you don't get information anymore. You just get TikTok dances. So I'm really scared for this generation coming up, because it's like, we used to live in a world where it's like you had ideas and different perspectives and opinions thrown at you. It's like, whoa, this is what's actually going on in the world, to look at me, I can do this dance.
Yeah, I wonder how my life would have been different if I had access to the internet growing up, because mine was the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that much older than you. I'm only about 5 years older than you. But I grew up in a very conservative suburban household with very much controlled access to the internet and to TV or anything like that. And I didn't have unfettered access to the internet until after I joined the army.
Yeah.
So like knowing what I know and knowing what I like and what I'm gravitated to and the kind of opinions and views I hold, I'm pretty sure that had I been exposed to that stuff growing up, I never would have joined the army. Instead of having to join the army and spend 8 years in the army to come to the conclusions.
I mean, but again, I worry about the next generation because of all this demonetization. It's not about the monetization. I could care less about demonetization. It's the fact that the algorithm isn't even allowing certain search results. It's the fact that certain things aren't. You look at the trending page now, and you're getting videos from Chinese influencers in China. That to me is weird. Like, why am I an American getting trending recommendations from influencers in China or Korea? Or it's just very strange to me. And so YouTube is completely sanitized. Twitter is completely sanitized. Instagram is very sanitized. All of these brands are dying. All of these platforms are dying. Information is dying. And when information dies, opinions die. And if you don't allow people to develop their own opinions and own ideas and share different thoughts, you're not going to get people who actually question anything. and they're just going to go along with the narrative, whatever narrative the establishment wants them to believe. And I've been saying this forever. I found an old interview between me and Tim Pool, like from 3 years ago. And even during my MAGA days, I was calling politics a cult on both the left and the right. And I even said, it doesn't matter if you're Antifa or MAGA hats. This blatant attack about the left versus right. I've never really fully believed in the left versus right. I used it sort of in my titles to, clickbait and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, left and right is pushed quite hard by the media, because while we're sitting there punching each other, left versus right, we don't realize that those who created this divide are watching us from their ivory towers and laughing at us. We're not actually getting anything done.
I mean, the problem is getting people to recognize that left-right does exist, but so does top-bottom, so does authority and anti-authoritarian. And we've seen a lot of people from the left making the jump these past few years and the past year to libertarianism because of anti-authoritarianism. It's not the majority of the people on the left by any means, but it seems like the majority of the people on the right have coalesced around the monolith of pro-authority.
I don't necessarily believe in left versus right. I think left versus right are false titles pushed for people to just think they're fighting.
If you think about it just as an economic scale, people on the right of economics and people on the left of economics, and there's a whole other bunch of different varying scales you can argue left, right on, or top, bottom on, or authoritarian versus anti-authoritarian on.
I think I think no matter what label you put yourself in, everyone wants to believe they're fighting some sort of evil. They're fighting some sort of quote unquote Nazi. They're fighting some sort of quote unquote bad person who's trying to destroy America, quote unquote, right? So it comes down to, you have all these people, whether they're communist, socialist, libertarian, anarchist, conservative, liberal, they believe that their side is the right side and that everyone else is wrong. And I would say I guess I'm an anarchist to some extent, but I don't even like using that label because that just makes me feel like I'm sort of confirming I have enemies. I don't think I'm enemies with anyone in this country, left or right or middle or far off or whatever. I think at the end of the day, we all have similar principles and we just don't realize it because we're consumed by media and parties just being thrown in our faces. And a lot of these things are used to divide us and make us forget that we actually have a similar enemy. And we don't want to admit that because we want to point the finger at someone else and actually take action.
Well, that's the argument that everyone is operating under the best intentions. You just disagree with what their motivations are when you get down to it. And
I don't think it's so much motivations because at the end of the day, I think it's a matter of what people are consuming and what people are sort of bullied into as well.
What they're consuming is just influencing how they think and how they come to their decisions and generate their motivations that they act on. So yeah, it has a lot to do with consumption. It has a lot to do with the information that's fed to people. It has a lot to do with the information that's forced down people's throat. But like, how do we actually counter that? Like you said, we can make all the content we want. If YouTube doesn't show our content to anyone, how do we get it out? We can go ahead and put it on Odyssey, but if we put it on Odyssey, all we've done is put it in an echo chamber where everyone already agrees with us. We can go ahead and put it on BitChute. Or Reddit or any of these other forums where it won't get seen by anybody who disagrees with us. And without utilizing platforms like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube to reach people who don't already agree with us, we won't change anyone's mind. But how do we deal with those platforms choosing to not allow our content to be shared?
I mean, well, one can easily, because we look back then, everyone's like, well, you got to make your own platform. You got to make your own platform. And we did make our own platforms. And the problem with that is that within the platforms, not only were the platforms censored from being used by certain media sources, but came down to the fact that people who worked with those platforms within the platforms then decide, well, these people can't criticize Israel. These people can't do these kind of things. These people can't do this. Well, these people can't say this. And it got down to the fact that even those who created these platforms as a means to fight against censorship and pro-free speech, they even themselves have their own opinions that sort of got in the way of being truly pro-free speech.
Right, and the only platform I've seen so far that is truly free speech, they will not censor anybody. You can put whatever, video, is Odyssey.
Right.
Like Odyssey's not going to censor anybody. Odyssey will
Mhm.
allow you to put anything you want. I saw a video on Odyssey the other day. It came up as a suggested video of somebody promoting communism and vaccine mandates. It's allowed to be on the platform. Nobody's going to say anything. The problem is the viewership and the base of the platform is not the people that we're trying to reach with the message of liberty, because it's largely the base of people who already agree with the message of liberty,
Right.
who have fled from YouTube
Yeah.
to Odyssey.
And that
So
was
we're
the beauty of YouTube, is that YouTube sort of gained this audience through Charlie the Unicorn kind of stuff, you know? And do you remember those videos, like when YouTube first hit? It was like,
Charlie,
Charlie,
Candy Mountain, Charlie.
shun the non-believer, Charlie. Right, and so we basically like built this audience of like all these kids who were just like jumped on, like, look at this funny video about a bear, you know, I'm just like a sneezing panda. And next thing you know, people started jumping onto the platform like, hey, look at this. I'm in the middle of a riot, and this is how police are treating people. And it was like, whoa, what the heck? You know, so it really, YouTube and my generation were really tied together. And I sort of witnessed the growth of YouTube going from Charlie the Unicorn to you know, a lot of this political commentary and a lot of that influencer stuff that blew up. And I think what the problem is the influencer stuff was more profitable, and it was also easier to sort of water down everything else. And that's why influencer work is so big now, because you can profit off. Not only can you profit off of it, but you can sort of distract people from what's going on around them.
You can subscribe to the Patreon down below. But I mean,
this product that I'm promoting. You can buy this product I'm promoting. Oh, look at this haul of 1,000 different dresses I just bought. Like, by the way, if anyone's to, I just don't understand the obsession with consumerism amongst the.
Do you know how many Trump coins you sold?
No. I still do not know.
They never gave you any feedback from your links or anything?
No.
Because that'd be fascinating to know. Like, how many died in the world Trump people?
The guy who ended up holding me hostage, right? He stole my Trump coins, actually.
I have a Trump coin somewhere. Somebody at PorkFest gave it to me in exchange for firewood. It's wild. Like, I just put up when I was vending firewood at PorkFest, I would just put up the bucket.
It's funny to me that like this whole concept of how, like, I always make the joke. And by the way, when I say MAGA is a cult, I mean every political group is a cult. Every political party, like people who are Ron Paul types, you're in a cult. YAL is a cult. The Libertarian Party is a cult. The Trump people are a cult. The socialists are a cult. Antifa's, everything's a cult to me. Okay.
If you went to PorkFest, you're in a cult.
Exactly. I was a psych major. Okay. Like everything's a cult to me. And it's the fact that people have to understand that is that when I say MAGA is a cult, the same way I say everything else is a cult. But then the MAGA people are like, MAGA's not a cult. Trump is our orange Jesus. It's like, yeah, you're not in a cult. Okay.
What's the old King of the Hill meme? It's like, is this the cult? No, this is not a cult. This is a sorority of friendship and love. Yup, this is the cult.
This isn't a cult. It's just a bunch of people who believe that Trump, everything he does and everything he say is right no matter what. Yeah, you're definitely not in a cult.
All right. I mean, so what's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Ooh.
Out of the MAGA days, out of your Q days, what is?
I was never a Q kid, ever. I've never.
You were a MAGA kid,
MAGA
and the
kid.
MAGA, your followers were Q people.
Well, here's the thing: the funny thing is, I have a hard time even thinking I was a MAGA person, because I remember, even at the beginning of my career, I found a video, like an old video from like 2018, and I asked Charlie Kirk about his opinion on the strikes in Syria. And he was just like, I trust our president no matter what. And I remember because I remember being very critical of Trump sending missiles into Syria. That was a huge deal for me. And so I asked Charlie Kirk his opinion on that, and he completely avoided the question. So it's funny. It was like my Trump days were very short. In fact, it was much shorter than when I was wearing a MAGA hat on camera, if you will. I want to say that my MAGA days might have actually gone from late 2016 to, honestly, because I didn't even vote for Trump, honestly. I want to say like maybe 2017 after he was put into office, and the MAGA days may have actually stopped right around the time I started making a YouTube channel, because I started asking questions and like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I didn't like see anything blatantly, but I remember when I was living in DC, that's when like I was really like, okay, this is like something's off here, because if you would slightly critique Trump, you would just have a horde of like old people. Rah! Trump is the greatest president in all of history. You're a communist. It was like,
no, my criticizing Trump for the missile strikes into Syria, like right after he became president, that was the first time I ever got ratioed.
Imagine calling someone a communist for critiquing the government. Do you
fair
of these people?
All right, so who do you think Q was?
I don't know. It's probably some FBI agent. I really don't know. I think honestly, if QAnon was the greatest psyop to get a bunch of old people to trust the government.
They didn't really trust the government. They trusted a random anonymous Reddit account that told them what they thought the government was going to do.
Because they believed the person was from the inside of the government. They believed the person was on the inside of the government feeding them information.
Did you ever see the South Park episode about Q?
I think so. I've seen every episode of South Park, so most of it.
So the vaccination special they did last year, after the election, Mr. Garrison is no longer president.
Yeah.
He's like, you people are crazy. Leave me alone. It's a secret message from the chosen one. We must decipher it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was mostly, I'm surprised that South Park hasn't been booted yet for calling out China.
I don't think they're running China. I think they're immune. I think they just, if they don't care about running their program in China, they're immune from criticizing the Chinese government. Like, they're not on Disney. It's Comedy Central, not Disney.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I'm just surprised.
And I mean, how hilarious would it be to watch Trey Parker and Matt Stone have to do a video in Mandarin apologizing for calling Taiwan a country?
I'm sorry?
Would it be hilarious or not to watch Trey Parker and Matt Stone have to do a video in Mandarin apologizing for calling Taiwan a country? You don't remember that one? With John Cena?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was so confused. Oh my
All
God.
he did was say the country of Taiwan in an interview, and he got canceled in China.
That's kind of how it works out, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, all right. So if Q was an FBI agent, everyone else was just in a fucking cult and following along. Who's running the government now? Because it's not Joe Biden.
I'm sorry?
Who do you think's running the government now? Because I think we can all agree it's not Joe Biden.
I think it's the banks, honestly.
Well, we know it's the banks. The banks have always been running the government, but who's actually in the Oval Office telling Biden what to say?
I don't think it's Kamala Harris. That's what you're saying. I don't think it's Kamala.
No.
Who do you think it is?
I don't know. I just can't think it's an Alzheimer's patient.
Well, I don't think the president has had control over the country for at least 100 years. So as of the Federal Reserve Act, the president hasn't done anything. Has control over anything.
That's fair. I mean, he did manage to pull everyone out of Afghanistan in a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, to be fair, that I never thought I would cheerlead for Joe Biden. But the day of the Afghanistan I pull out, I remember seeing a tweet, President Biden will address the nation at 3 p.m. I'm like, oh, he's going to announce we're going back in because it's such a clusterfuck. And then Joe Biden gives a speech saying, nope, fuck you, we're out. Bye. Deal with it yourself. And I'm sitting there watching him like, who the fuck wrote that speech? Like, I want to meet the guy who wrote that speech for Joe Biden telling Afghanistan to go fuck themselves, that we're done picking up their pieces. So, all right. So when can we get you to New Hampshire?
When were you trying to get me to New Hampshire?
I don't know. I mean, you say if you move to Florida with the intent of making it to New Hampshire, what is it that's going to get you to pull the trigger?
A husband.
You don't know how easy that is.
It's very hard. Last time I tried to get married, I got friend zoned.
Is he gay?
It's the exact same thing. Last time I tried to get married, last time I found this guy, I was convinced that he was like my soulmate. I was gonna make beautiful babies with him, make beautiful blonde babies. And he was super into me. And then one day he's like, sorry, I met this chick on Bumble. And then 2 weeks after, he's like, me and the chick that I chose over you didn't work out because she didn't want anything serious. And then I'm still friend zoned, I guess. I don't know. So.
And the guy's in Florida?
I'm not revealing any personal information about him.
I'm just trying to suss out your motivations for choosing Florida over New Hampshire in real life.
Well, I was actually planning to Florida for a few years now. So.
All right. Yeah. So I don't think you realize like how easy it would be to find a husband in New Hampshire. Like single libertarian women move to Manchester, New Hampshire, and are married in like 3 months. That's just what the numbers and the ratios were. And like worst comes to worst, you can be my Ramona Flowers.
No, you lost me there, buddy. You lost me there. Ooh.
But no, we see women come and they just get married off the spot because that's how everyone stays stable in New Hampshire. There's a whole move of breeding them for freedom. So, are you going to come to Liberty Forum in the fall? I think it's in March.
Maybe it depends. So is that in New Hampshire?
Yep. You can come experience the New Hampshire winter. If you've been here for the summer, come experience it when we have 4 feet of snow on the ground, and see if you still like it. All right.
Yeah, this might be why I'm choosing Florida. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's what Southern says would be the weather is your reason of why you chose Florida over New Hampshire. But I will tell you, everyone who has moved from California to New Hampshire always complains and cries the entire first winter they're here, and then by the next winter they're making fun of people for not being able to handle the cold.
But now I'm like worried. Now should I go to New Hampshire now or should I stay in Florida? You guys are like bullying. You're just gonna bully me out of New Hampshire?
No, nobody will bully you out of New Hampshire.
You're gonna bully me. You're gonna be like, oh, she can't handle the weather. She's a bitch.
And then the next year, you're gonna join the bullies and bullying the new people from California.
But what if I still don't like the weather?
You will. Everyone loves it.
What if I still don't like the weather?
I mean, the alternative is Florida, which is literally turning into a swamp.
I'm really concerned.
At least New Hampshire is not going to sink into the ocean. All right.
I'm like worried. I feel attacked.
What?
Yes.
All right. Well, so you're an anarchist. You hate government. You hate politicians. You think it's all a cult. Where or who would you leave in charge in a situation where you had to have somebody making decisions for common property or in collective?
My husband?
Your husband can only control the homestead. If you had to pick a king for your local community, any politician, who would it be? Who's your least reprehensible politician?
I don't like this question.
That's why it's a fun question.
Vermin Supreme.
See, Vermin lives right up here. So what are you doing in Florida?
Well, I just told you 1,000 times.
Right.
Why are people trying to get me to move to New Hampshire all the time? I swear to God.
Because it's where all the fun is. Even Jose is taking your side in the chat, but I'm going to eventually get Jose will eventually move up here as well. And I do think it's a problem. You think you see Florida grasping on to this push towards greater freedom. I think I see libertarians falling for a hook, line, bait, and sinker from DeSantis manufacturing freedom and convincing people there's a potential for freedom where there's not, the same way they did for Kristi Noem last year before she turned full statist. Nothing?
I just want to have sunshine.
We have sunshine. You were here in the mountains for Porkfest.
Yes,
it was.
It's cold for like 7 months.
It's only cold for like 3 months.
Okay, I explained why I'm going to Florida. Why are you so determined on like not letting me go to Florida? I already have a house down there. I can't like be like, no, sorry, don't want the house no more.
I mean, you could always just rent it out and have sustainable income while you live somewhere else.
Right, but like, can I like enjoy my house like for a short period of time?
All right. Well, the real question was like you moved to Florida. You said you do want to eventually get to New Hampshire. What's the trigger to actually make that happen? Like what would have to happen?
I need to find a husband.
No.
Yes.
Because you can find a husband anywhere.
That's not true. Again, if that were true, I'd be married by now.
I feel like I should have prepared a clip from one of your old videos where it said, look at the girl in the camera. Do you think she has trouble finding a date?
I don't have trouble finding a date, but it's different because like most men do not want to settle down. They really don't. Or they're crazy.
See, I could say the same thing for most women.
I'm really uncomfortable at this point.
No, all right. So if you're not going to move to New Hampshire till you find a husband, and I guess Josh and Tower Power are going to auction you off, so that can't be too long in the future.
Okay.
So what are you going to work on? So you move to Florida. You say you want to see Florida move forward on their progression towards freedom.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do to help push the needle in Florida?
I'm going to organize more people. I'm going to get more people involved.
Doing what? What's your next step and first mission?
First mission? Well,
yep.
Connect people. Like get involved with like the people who are already down there because already a movement building down there, and I'll get myself a part of it, and they'll help push it. So,
you don't want.
What
nothing,
do you mean?
No particular issue.
There's already a movement going on down there, so I'll get involved in any way I possibly can. Whatever, like. What do you mean?
Well, the question is like, what issues matter to you the most down there? Like, what do you see the needle needing to be pushed on? What do you want to get engaged and active on?
What I think really needs to start happening is Florida building its own currency to move away from the Fed. I already said that.
How do you plan to get involved to make that happen?
Whenever someone needs me. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize I was gonna be like really like hammered down here.
Just asking.
I'm not comfortable right now. I'm really not comfortable. I just for some reason everybody wants me to move to New Hampshire like right away, and like everything's fine if I move to New Hampshire, but if I even mention a different state than New Hampshire, everybody jumps on me.
Oh no, I jump on the people that move to New Hampshire too. Whenever somebody moves to New Hampshire and they move for the Free State Project, and here's the disclaimer: I'm not a Free Stater.
Well,
I didn't move for the Free State Project.
Well, if people move for the Free State Project, all you need to know, they just want to get the hell away.
Well, I always ask them, I
want to move to Florida to help develop a Free State Project. I don't know how that necessarily works because I'm from California. I haven't experienced that. But I want to move to Florida to help it become a Free State Project. There's already people down there who are trying to develop a Free State Project, so I'll connect with them and do what I can, whatever they need me to do. But wow, you're really hunking down on me. Like everyone from New Hampshire is like this. Like maybe the reason people aren't moving to New Hampshire is because you guys bully us. Like holy crap, stop bullying us.
So I don't bully people specifically to move to New Hampshire, and I ask everyone the same questions, even when they do move here. Is like when you move, if the point of your move was to move to help make the world more free or an improved freedom, what do you plan to do it? And I ask those questions because we do get a lot of people who move to New Hampshire who when they just move and do nothing. And they're the non-voting type of anarchist who won't get involved. So saying they're going to vote for libertarian politicians and anarchists running for office doesn't actually help move the needle when they do it. But they don't actually do anything.
Well,
and so
libertarian politicians kind of suck. Like look at Joe Jorgensen.
I'm not going to disagree here.
But here's the
but
thing,
like,
here's the reason why people don't vote anymore, because they vote for people who don't keep their promises and don't keep allegations, and they do nothing.
so I'm not.
And that's, I have a question too for Free State Project people, since you guys just like want to dog on
Yep.
this. New Hampshire decided to come for me today. Why do you have so many people who like really want to get in office? Like, isn't the whole point of being an anarchist and a free stater not having people in office, just to mind your own damn business?
You'd think, but that's actually where we disagree. Again, like I said, I'm not a free stater. I did not move for the Free State Project. I'm not a signer or a participant. I go to PorkFest because my friends go to PorkFest, and it's a great, fun time. I actually agree with you there.
People who are connected to PorkFest and the Free State Project who want to run for office. I do have a problem with that, actually. How can you call yourself an anarchist if you're pushing for yourself so wholly to be in office? That to me bothers me.
They don't call themselves anarchists. A lot of them. There are a lot of people who identify with
there
the
are
Free
a lot
State
of
Project.
people connected within the Free State Project and PorkFest who are really pushing to be in office. And
Yep.
I actually do have a problem with that, since that's now coming up. Because why the hell should you claim to support a Free State Project and then decide that you are going to speak for someone else?
I actually agree with you.
It bothers me. It really bothers me.
So the things that I try.
Any names? There are a lot of people who are well connected within the PorkFest community and the Free State Project who are like, I'm running for office. Please push me to do this. But for example, a perfect example of someone who's the exact opposite of this. She's based out of LA. I actually adore her. Angela McArdle. So she wants to run for national Libertarian chair. Being the chair of something is different, right? You're not running for a government position, right? So I love Angela McArdle. I really like what she has to say, because she's running for a chair position. The people who go full frontal, like, I want to be a Congress member, I want to be a governor of something, but you claim to be part of the Free State Project, I have an issue with that. Because by claiming you want to be a congressperson or a governor, you still associate the state of New Hampshire along with the rest of the U.S.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
When you run as a congressperson or a governor, you are claiming to the world that you still see federal action. You want to be a Fed. Just because you may be representing an idea, once you are a Fed, you are a Fed.
What I try and push people towards is community action. Doing things in your community. How can you make the world more free?
Doing things in your community is different, right?
Right.
I'm talking about the people within the Free State Project who are trying to use the Free State Project to elevate themselves to run for governor or congressperson. Or senator.
You're going to have those in any movement.
Right.
You're going to have
I think if you're an anarchist or a libertarian or a free state person, you need to call those people out, because they're using your movements as a way to build themselves. And since it's come up in topic, I wasn't going to plan on talking about this, but I do have an issue with it.
No, I think this is a fascinating topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I rail against the Free State Project politicians all the time.
If you are a member of the Free State Project, you're talking about community building, right? Community building within your circles. I believe in the Wild West. Okay, that's what I believe in. Again, if you are like, I'm a free stater, I'm here at PorkFest. Oh, by the way, here's my pamphlet. I'm running for office. You're gonna get the bird from me. Why are you at a Free State Project movement event like PorkFest, and you're telling people to vote for you for governor or senator or whatever? I'm not going to vote for you to be a Fed, because not only is that just an insult to my entire belief, that's an insult to the Free State Project itself. You're basically associating the Free State Project New Hampshire along with the rest of the United States. The whole point of the Free State Project is to get away. So why the hell are you running for governor?
That's the age-old question. And
I'm pissed off now. You really brought up a topic that I've had an issue with for quite some time. I didn't think I was talking about this today.
Hey, when I get in arguments with free staters all the time when I go openly criticize their politicians.
You want to make the world a better place? Here's some advice to the world, for the people listening, whoever the fuck is listening right now. Sorry, I'm a little pissed off right now. You want to make the world a better place? Have some babies and raise them to not be stupid. That's how you make the world a better place. Because there's too many stupid people in the world. That's why. Sorry.
I can't refute it. I think it's a great answer.
When I hear about Free State Project people and Libertarian, not even just Libertarian, because Libertarian Party is trash at this point. It's completely destroyed from the inside. A oh no, you can't say mean words. It goes against the NAP. Yeah, well, nap this. If you're an anarchist or a Free State Project person, and you tell me you're running for a federal position, I guess not a state position, if you will, because state, it's not federal, but a state position is still connected to the Fed in some way, right? You're not a free stater.
No, they're politicians.
Yeah.
At the root of it.
My point.
And that's the big issue I end up having with a lot of Free State Project people is they all run for office. They run as Republicans. They get elected. And then whenever somebody like me criticizes something that they do while in office, like voting for a tyrant to have emergency powers or voting for a budget that increases taxes because it was necessary to get it done, we get attacked by the Free State Project for criticizing the politicians in office instead of supporting them. And that is one of the issues that I've had with the Free State Project since I've been in New Hampshire and been involved in the liberty movement as someone who is not a Free Stater, but is constantly told that I'm expected to support the Free State Project endorsed politicians and the NHLA endorsed politicians for office, even though they often get elected and do terrible shit.
Right.
So I'm not going to disagree with you at all. What I was trying to push you towards was saying something like, oh, I'm going to build a community center. Oh, I'm going to start networking with homeschooling groups or producing media or helping push narratives.
I'm not there yet, so I don't really know what needs to get done. So, example, a homeschooling community is actually what I'm all about. I want to homeschool my kids. I want to push for community gardens. I want to do things like that. The problem is that I don't live in Florida or New Hampshire yet, so I can't specifically say, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing because I don't know what's needed there yet. I'm going to connect with the community out there and say, hey, tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'll see what I can do for you guys and then do it.
Perfect.
What's that?
So, I mean, that the one thing we're doing here in New Hampshire right now is trying to build community centers. So we have one in Manchester. We're trying to purchase the building outright to save it and give it a permanent foothold. But then we're actually also trying to open a network of libertarian community centers focused on agorism and voluntarism and consent-driven interaction, not just all around New Hampshire, but eventually all around the country, where people who are libertarian or anarchist can gather and build communities around them. So that's my big project outside of politics. And I will never run for office again. And I've told people this dozens of times because after 8 years in the military, 6 years working within the Libertarian Party and running for office several times, and I was on the board of directors of the National Libertarian Party for 2 terms with Josh Smith, I did come to the same realization. It's broken beyond repair and can't be fixed, and came to the same conclusion as Sarah Silverman. We just need to break up.
Yeah, we need a divorce. National divorce right now, please.
So
I want to help Florida get to that position because I really think Florida is on its way out of here. I think Florida, New Hampshire, and Texas are on its way to seceding, and I want to be there to help. So I'll do whatever I can. I don't know what I'm going to do. Just tell me what to do. Give me a helmet. Give me a hammer. I'll do what I can, man.
Maybe a Remington shotgun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of an AK girl, but, you know, I'll see what I can do.
I admire the versatility of your choice.
Okay.
So you can use it for anything. But it has been an hour. It's been a great show. It's been a fun show. It's been
sorry, I got a little angry at the end there. My gosh, I didn't think I was going to talk about that today.
I love when people get angry. But tell everyone where they can follow you and where they can get more of your content.
Hi, so I am Ashton. I am Ashton Birdie, ASHTON BIRDIE. I am on YouTube. I am on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter as Arrow and a Bird because my original Twitter got banned by Jack. He has not banned me yet because I think the Rothbard diving has been helping him out quite a bit. But yeah, go follow me at Arrow and a Bird on Twitter. But I'm mainly on YouTube as Ashton Birdie. Again, ASHTON BIRDIE. I'll be putting up a new video tomorrow. So yeah.
All right. And thank you again for joining. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, be free. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to catch more, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications for future episodes. You can follow me directly on Twitter at O'Donnell, the number 4NH, to keep up to date with what I'm working on. And if you want to be among the first to support this channel, check out our Patreon link in the description. And as always, don't forget to head on over to sneckswag.com to get your freshest Liberty swag today. Until next time, be free everybody.